thank you all for being here. For someone who is zoomed out, and I would probably say I'm definitely in that category, this is the most exciting Zoom conversation I've had so far. I'm nervous, not because I don't love all of you, but because I feel like I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to be personally really honest. And as I have been with many of you already, and I spoke to Manny, I spoke to Waisha, I spoke to Caleb, literally just like, I'm like, this is where I'm at. I don't understand everything. And it's been exciting. And every single person I spoke to has been over half an hour conversation. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is the Convo. And here we have got a group of friends. As you can tell, my friends are all different colors. And that is something that I've celebrated, but I've probably never spoken about. And as a group collectively, we have never spoken about it. What has happened recently in America with the death of George Floyd, we thought it'd be a good idea for us to talk about it. This is a place where we love one another deeply and we can openly speak about these things. So what you're going to hear in this next, however long it goes, is a conversation between friends that love one another in a way that we help steer, educate, raise areas of contention, areas of confusion, and we're hopefully going to bring clarity. One of the things I will say, if you're watching this, is that every single person in this chat loves Jesus. And the reason why we are friends is because of our faith in Christ. Now, this goes hand in hand. I think it'd be wrong to separate that. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for streaming, whatever this is coming out on. And if you've got anything you'd like to add, contribute, we'd love to hear from you. So please do feel free to message us individually or collectively, however that looks. Thanks for being part of it. And so is that cool? Like we'll have this honest, vulnerable, like I can just be that white boy that hasn't got a clue and you're not going to think I'm a racist bigot because I love you all dearly. Is that okay? So
Disclaimer.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Like,
Jordan, let's destroy these t-shirts then. He proved he's not racist. Destroy the t-shirts. Destroy the merch.
I feel like I've got questions that I want to say like, oh yeah, like, I know Black Lives Matter, but what about all lives? And I want to say that in a way you're like, Sam, stop being such a racist, because I understand that it's a black life that matter, you know, and then we can talk about it in a way where you're not being like, oh, you. And so that's kind of why we've got this. Is that cool? And then also the final thing that covers everything is we have got the privilege of talking about this from the understanding of who Jesus Christ is.
Yeah.
And now I think it would be ignorant if we assumed that everyone who's going to listen to this and everyone who's going to have the conversation has also got that same hope, that same faith, that same comfort, that same confidence in the fact that there is a God that loves us, that has designed us. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Other than that, like, I think we've just got to go real, because I don't think I've ever spoken to you guys honestly about race and about why we all look very different.
Let's have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The floor is open.
I'm going to start off with what Sam said earlier.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a good place to start in terms of, I've had a lot of conversations over the past 2 days about why when we say Black Lives Matter, the response of All Lives Matter is just kind of like, it's not really what we want to hear. The reason being, from my point of view, and I don't know about the others, but they could obviously add on to it. I used an analogy and I kind of explained it to Sam of like, if there was a whole house of streets, right? A whole street of houses and one house was on fire, the right thing to do would do everything in your power to put that house out. The wrong thing to do would be to stand outside that house and be like, but my house matters too. You know, my house is just up the road and I don't know about you, but all of these houses matter. This is not about your house, but the reality is your house is not on fire. This one is. So everyone on that street has a responsibility to put the fire out. So that's the way I explain it in terms of when we say Black Lives Matter, we're saying our house is on fire. Please help us put it out. We're not saying that your house doesn't matter. And none of us in this room would ever say one life is more important than the other. And I think it's like whenever, all throughout the year, everyone could say all lives matter every day and it would still be true. But when something like this happens and there's an injustice, then we're just shouting a bit louder because we've not been heard and our house is still on fire, then to say all lives matter almost undermines what's actually happening. So that's for me, and I've explained that to people as well, and they're like, oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah, just going off the back of what Waisha was saying, the way I see it is just like, if you look at the statement itself, it's flawed in the fact that it's just not correct. Like, to say all lives matter is to say that we care about all lives, but if we look at the world and the reflection of that statement, that's clearly not the case. Like, all lives clearly don't matter, and so in order to make that statement true, we need to focus on the ones that don't matter at this moment in time.
Yeah,
So good.
So I'm going to say something that comes from a really white self-privileged angle. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. So there are two people in here that their best friend is of Asian origin. Okay. And now I'm not bringing them in because I'm not going to name them, but we all know that person. Now, I struggle with the fact that if I said Black Lives Matter, I am overtly saying to that person who is a minority, am I saying their lives don't matter or am I not? And that's the thing I struggle with. Now, I do believe that in this case, and I saw Bishop Jakes talk about it, because someone commented on their post saying all lives matter, and he said, yeah, but at this moment in time, the life that is in question is a Black life. And so I understand it in the moment. And I think that's kind of what Shops and Waisha was saying. But I then sometimes struggle because I maybe haven't got an awareness of what maybe might be affecting my friend from another minority. And one of the things I've struggled with in this situation is I don't know what to say. And a lot of the people that I'm talking to who are from a similar background to me, we just don't know what to say. And we feel like what we're going to say is going to not necessarily be offensive to the Black community, but could be offensive to another community that we love and are friends with. And, you know, so I was wondering, can you guys give me some insight on that and how I can deal with that?
I think that you have to be comfortable in the truth that being pro-Black doesn't make you anti anything else. So every race can be celebrated, but there's also a time and place to empower a certain group, because obviously we all go through life day by day, but there are natural disasters that happen all the time. So we'll hone in that place in the world and let everybody know this is the place that you need to donate, and these are the things that you can do, and so that these people can get food and clean water and etc., etc. But that doesn't belittle any other community by you pointing out the difficulty and pain that's occurring at that present time. So by you saying Black Lives Matter and pointing out the issues in police brutality and the things occurring in the world doesn't make you love another race less, because this could be, any other race could be in our position and we say Muslim lives matter or Asian lives matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that too. To add on to that, when the COVID situation was happening, and at first a lot of people were targeting Asians. In that sense, it would have been inappropriate if like Black people being minorities also going, wait a minute, we're minorities too. So it's Asian and Black people matter. Don't forget that. Because it's like, again, we're not the people being targeted at that point. So it's because you guys are in trouble. So we're going to help you.
Yeah, it's a very kind of where I'm at. And like, one of the things that I've spoken to you individually on, and I don't know, Jordan and Emily, maybe jump this in because we're the white guys in this game. And Alicia, you jump in as well. Is like, I felt pretty helpless in this. Like, I just didn't know what to say, and that wasn't. And now I feel like I'm having this conversation. I think it's a good conversation to have. And I think it's a conversation that should have happened a long time ago. But I do feel like I'm having this conversation out of a pressure to have a conversation. Right. And one of the things I spoke to Manny about is this whole idea that science is agreement. Now, I've been silent on a lot of things for a lot of time. It doesn't mean I haven't got a view on it. I've just been silent on it. So I didn't say anything about the fact that COVID was blamed on the Chinese community just because I didn't know what to say. Now, this George Floyd thing. So I'm like, that's why I'm struggling now. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know if George or Emily want to give a bit more clarity, kind of, if that's something that resonates for you guys, you can carry that forward a bit more.
Yeah, totally. The amount of times that I've rewritten stuff on social media just out of fear that I'm going to say the wrong thing. Like, and I think the thing that got me the most after this George Floyd thing, it's not that I didn't feel sad or the numerous times before where I heard about all this violence. It was that this time round I was choosing to be offended when you know, my black friends, black community was saying like, you're being silent on this matter. And like right now I'm like, I can't choose to be offended anymore with that. Like, I've decided that being a good person and having good intentions, like, I'm not racist, like, in terms of that's not my heart. Like, I don't discriminate, you know, anyone because of the colour of their skin, but at the same time, having a good heart and having those good intentions just doesn't seem to be enough anymore. Like, I've decided now that I need to actually be a voice and speak out. And I totally hear you, Sam. Like, sometimes as well, when I write on stuff on social media, I'm like, what is this actually doing? Like, how can I, like, just me tweeting to my 500 followers is not actually going to really make a difference in the world. So I guess now, like, I'm just trying to educate myself more. Like, I say this, like, I mean, this was from like the past week, so I haven't done yet. Like, but I want now to buy books. I want to listen to people. I want to educate, and I want that to start with my friends. Like, and I know it's not down to you guys to educate me, like, as a white privileged girl. Like, I understand that I need to do it myself. But yeah, I kind of just decided that being silent isn't enough, and I'm not going to choose offense anymore when it comes to, like, you know, like anyone calling me out for being silent, because it's true. Like, you know, being silent is being in agreement basically with it. So yeah, I kind of, to bring it like back to a faith thing as well, like, I've decided that, you know, it says in James about like faith without action is dead. And I was kind of thinking, well, like, if I, like, my faith is alive in so many different areas, but when it comes to this topic in particular, is my faith actually active in this? Like, we're called to love people, but we're not just called to like love people. Like, it's not just enough for me to say like, I love you guys. It's like, that love is action. It needs to be action. It needs to be like, I stand with you. And I'm just now figuring out from that place what I can do as a privileged white person to stand with you guys. Like, is that, you know,
well, I think the question is then, what can we do?
I think it's
about having compassion about this George Floyd situation. It's not a situation, do you know what I mean? But it's about, there isn't anything as a white privileged person that we can say that is going to alter or make it better at the end of the day. What has happened is like the most horrific thing, but having compassion in the sense of like that has touched me beyond belief. I'm not very good at like the way I sort of explain it is, so say for instance, me being a man, I cannot bear children, yeah, but my wife can. So I can't say to Alicia when she had her children, I can't say, I know how you feel. I know how that pain is, because I don't. But what I can do is I can stand with my wife and hold her hand and be like, I'm going to go with you through this. And this pain, what you're feeling, I can't share it, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
And me being a mixed race man, I can sort of look from both sides of the fence. But I can see from my brothers and sisters who are feeling it, who I feel it as well, because I get just as much, trust me, in Norfolk. If I'm mixed race, but it doesn't matter. And why should probably tell you the same? It is what it is. But it's just knowing that you're there, and a voice is a voice at the end of the day, saying, yeah, we're with you. And being there with the person through the struggle, and understand that, yes, we'll get frustrated, and yes, we'll get angry, but the anger is just at the same time. Because
the situations which have happened around the world have been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
I can tell you from growing up in Norfolk that I always get, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from Galston. No, where are you really from? It's like, I was born in Galston. No, but where are you actually from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's my friends stood with me through that because they understood. It's like, no, he's one of us. He's like, he's grew up with us. But it's having someone to stand with you through that. And I think that is one of the biggest things what I could personally ask for. I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, it's knowing that you, Sam, are being, you know what, I've got your back. You're my boy.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is where I think we need that support. It's, for instance, your voice, this is going to sound weird, but say, for instance, a situation happens and the police were there and I called out, like, what you're doing is wrong. You shouldn't do that. Leave him alone. If I said that, I would probably get chucked on the floor. But if you said that, that would be brilliant. They'll be like, yeah, you know what? No one going to listen to you. And it's not because you're more privileged than I am, or it's because of the colour of your skin.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And it's having someone there to say that. And that's why, so where I think you come from, Emily, that's, from my opinion, that's the difference.
It's like, we as Black people can say as much as we want, only a percentage of white people are going to want to listen to that. Whereas if another white person hears it from themselves, they'll be like, oh, I'm more likely to actually listen to this and take this on board, if you get what I mean.
So whether we like it or not, as white people, there is obviously this societal privilege. Is there ways then that we can use that to empower the Black community and kind of flip things around?
I think for me, and it kind of goes off what Caleb said, it's just seeing you guys actually speak, or just, you know, using your platforms or whatever where you have, because like we've just established that because of the colour of your skin, more people will listen to you, whether, like, you know, like you said, whether you like it or not. And I think it's just like calling things out as you see it. I mean, I know obviously this circumstance has rattled everyone, as it should, but from conversations I've had with like Shoppe in the past few days, I'm almost getting used to it, and it shouldn't be like that. Like, it's like, oh, it's another one. And I think if we relate it back to the UK, I think what I would ask for like my friends who are white, who are privileged, is to call it out when you see it. Like, if you're amongst people and they make comments and you're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't say that, or especially in workplaces or in schools, I guess especially moving forward when you're older, it's definitely in the workplace or when it's systemic, where you know that as a white person, if you say something, you're not going to get scolded for it. So perhaps it's you, when you see something, it's you guys using your voice. And I think that's what's going to come up a lot. It's just using your voice. And I think as much as justice is served, like we see when we make noise, baby steps are taken, whether it's what we want to see or not. We now know that some arrests have happened, whether it's right or wrong. We made noise and there was a change. And I think if we stood alone and made that noise, believe me, we'd still be waiting.
Yeah.
But the fact that people got involved and they got on board and they came in strong, that's all we can really ask for.
Yeah.
And like, we can't deny that this conversation wouldn't have happened unless there was a noise. Yeah. So that, I think the thing I really struggle with is what Caleb said, and he highlighted. He said that if I said something, or if George said, or Emily said something, compared to what Joanna said, or Shoppe said, or Waisha, or Manny, or Caleb yourself said, that it will be held in a different way. Absolutely. And this is probably a naivety on my behalf, and I recognise that. But I'm like, what? I'm like, that's ridiculous. I see Waisha not for the colour of her skin, but for her brilliant mind and her ability to engage in situations actually far greater than I can. Because some situations I'm like, why, you got to deal with this because I can't deal with this. Same as Joanna and Shoppe and Manny and George and Emma. And I think probably, and this is actually a conversation that me and George had a little bit, like, I feel like I come from a generation where I was taught to eradicate racism. We treat everyone as equal and we don't see colour. And so now, not that I don't see colour, but I don't allow colour to make a difference. So I'm like, we're all equal. But then right now, in this today, I'm kind of being told that I need to celebrate diversity. And I'm kind of like, oh, But that, like, is that right? Is that wrong? Is that?
Yeah, I think
Can I celebrate the fact you're black?
The phrase "I don't see colour." I know what you're saying when you say that, because you don't look at us and say, "Oh well, you know, Shope's black, Manny's black, Joanna's black, Emily's white." But what we're saying is when people are saying that now, or almost they feel like they can't say it, what we mean is that when you say you don't see colour, not you, but what I'm seeing is that you're neglecting the fact that we experience something different to you then. Because if you're saying, as a white person, I don't see colour, you're effectively saying, I don't see your struggle, I don't see that people are being racist to you, I don't see, but I know that's not what you're saying, because you've explained that, and I know what you're saying is you look past that because you see the gift of God within us, but we can have that conversation because we are Christians, but now put it on a platform where we're taking the Christians out of it, in terms of people who might watch this who don't have a relationship with God, and they're listening because they want to be educated. When I say, oh, please don't say I don't see colour, because that kind of undermines who I am as a person, because when God made me, he made me black for a reason, otherwise we'd all be yellow.
Yeah.
If God sees colour, they should, and that's what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like we don't want you to like judge us on the color of our skin and be like, oh, you're black, so this stereotype is attached to it. But just acknowledge the culture that comes with it, because that's beautiful. That's the beautiful thing, is the culture that comes with it. And likewise, she said, just looking at us and ignoring the culture, it's sort of like, it to me, it makes me feel like what I could bring to the team is now no longer necessary because I don't see color. Therefore, I kind of ignore the culture. I ignore the skills that you can bring to the team. I ignore the diversity you can bring to the team. I ignore the change you could bring to the team because I do not see your color, kind of thing. It's not bad to see color because it, like it says, it brings the culture, it brings a vibe, it brings a different experience for people. And it's lovely to go to church and feel celebrated for being black or for being white or for being Asian. But it's just, don't get that confused for we should look at you as the color of your skin and therefore treat you by the color of your skin, because that's where the problem is. So if you say you don't see color, just make sure it comes across as like, we're not judging you because you're black, because there's a lot of connotations that society has put on us for being black, and that's annoying. So it's like, like what you said, we get what you're saying, but it's like not seeing color also comes with this, like, we ignoring culture. So you just have to be very careful about, and not just, again, not you specifically, but there has to be wisdom when it comes to how you phrase that sentiment and how you go about it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The whole I don't see color kind of comes from a place of not wanting to disregard other cultures, but the fear of acknowledging them because you want to be treating everyone as equal, which obviously you should be treating anyone as equal, but it's completely naive as a white person to say, oh, I don't see color, because my upbringing and your upbringing, Manny, is culturally like worlds apart. And I think in order for
you both wear little beanies, don't you?
I think in order for this to move on, there's got to be that acknowledgement and that celebration. And we've got, we're different, but that's great.
So there's things that have arisen out of this whole thing, but I think it's just being so aware of things that you might do or say or allowed to be said in front of you that might give people the impression that you are with them. And that comes back to the silence means agreement. I spoke to you, Sam, and we had a conversation about that, and we agreed that silence doesn't necessarily mean agreement, but silence where your voice is supposed to be heard is agreement. And scripture talks so much about speaking on behalf of those whose voice has been taken, you know. And I think it's important to remember that, you know, and I said this to Sam, when Jesus saw corruption, my God turns tables, he flipped tables. And so I think if we feel uncomfortable by the fact of, like Em said, you know, just choosing not to take offense when someone says something, because you actually realise, you know what, right? Because I do wonder sometimes where none of us really have the answers, if we're going to get in front of God and it said, you know, I gave you every ability and every power to stand up for that person, whether black, whether a child, and you were silent.
There is a fear of saying the wrong thing.
No, we understand the fear is there, but it's like
saying nothing is worse.
Yeah.
Saying something wrong, because saying the wrong thing, you can actually be corrected, but your silence speaks volumes to us. Like, it reaffirms feelings within us that we have to censor ourselves because of what we look like, that the world consistently reminds us that we're insignificant because of the color of our skin, and our friends, the people who break bread with us, when it really matters and when it gets serious, they're not going to be the ones to stand up for us. And that speaks volumes. That's where the problem is.
And then I think tying it into that, like, the fear of saying the wrong thing is the same fear that is keeping this conversation recorded and small and intimate before it goes live.
But the only way to combat fear is to step out. So when I've put something on my Instagram and I've got responses from people like, oh yeah, but you know, I didn't like the way you said that. My honest response was, and that's on you, because I said what I said and I'll say it again. Because right now, I'm not saying anything out of, like, it's not even a harsh way. I'm just being very real. I think I know my relationship with God. I know if I step out of line or come with bitterness or a bad heart, God will bring me back in line. Don't worry, Holy Spirit will get me. He'll get me.
Plus, I would say if you guys are genuinely scared what to say, you could always ask us, because we're always here to be verification as to what is appropriate and not appropriate. For example, I put the message in chat and George quickly where it was like, bro, what can I do? Or what should I say kind of thing. And it's like asking to be like, what is appropriate to say? Then we can give you, hey, it's okay to say. Or even like simple stuff like checking on us is really cool, because it's like, in my opinion, what was kind of like annoying was not a lot of people asked, how are you guys doing? It was more like, this is outrageous. Okay, cool. But like, for example, if my family member died, right, the pain that I'm feeling right now is something that you're not feeling in the moment. So saying RIP, you'd feel like this has been tokenizing. However, you'd probably check on me to be like, are you okay? Is there anything I could do? What's going on? Do you want to talk about this kind of thing? Because although you cannot maybe fix the immediate situation, it's always good to ask the person so they can talk to you about how they feel. So they have someone to give all these emotions to. Because yeah, God exists. He's beautiful, don't get me wrong. But having that humanity, having that human aspect, having that are you okay conversation is always great to make us feel like, oh, okay, cool. Someone's listening. Someone cares, especially if it's some of the, white skin color, because it's like, okay, cool. They really do care to hear me rant about this, something that they will never experience, but they still want to hear me tell them why this is frustrating. Then it also gives them something to say, because upon hearing my pain, then God, this is my friend. This is really annoying then, because I know how much is angering them. And to me, it hurts my heart seeing my black friend being treated like this.
As a white person, just being not racist does not cut it. We have to be active in educating our other white privileged friends and family members and whatever that may be. We need to be active in getting this out there.
I think even when you rephrase the whole I do not know what to say, I think we should rephrase it to I just don't know how to phrase it in this situation. Because implying I don't know what to say sort of implies that you don't have any emotion or you have no feeling about it whatsoever. For example, if I saw that George had been shot and I say to him, I just don't know what to say, mate. It's like, mate, I've been shot. You're going to tell me get well soon? You're not going to take do you get what I mean? Like,
Carl will do.
If none of those emotions are like, if I had those emotions, that would come out like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry for you. Like, how can I help you? Do you know what I mean? Whereas like, if you say I don't know what to say, it comes across as like, exactly. It's like, I don't care. Like,
I have no comment.
Exactly.
How often do we talk about racism collectively in this sense, as this friendship circle? So, okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Is there a number 0?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Fantastic, mate. I'm putting a minus there too, so you can see that minus 0.
Minus 0.
It's in a black community now. So cut out me, Emily, and George. How often do you talk about racism?
Yeah, like big. Because
I'm even giving it jabs hands.
Yeah.
And to me, that shows something.
We wouldn't necessarily come to you and say, Sam, this is what we're experiencing, because the world has already painted that picture.
It is sort of the white person's responsibility to seek out that knowledge. Just obviously we're making ourselves available for that conversation because we love you and we want you to know better than some of your white peers. Some Black people won't want to have that conversation purely because they come from the same place of they're exhausted and they're tired of having to be the ones in pain and educating their counterpart at the same time. So there will be some Black people that won't want to have this conversation with you, and you have to have grace in that situation for them. So you will have to read books and use the internet as a resource.
It's the same with anything that you've ever wanted to learn. If I want to learn the guitar, I'm going to go out, I'm going to buy a guitar, I'm going to pay for lessons, or I'm going to go out of my way to look online and learn how to do it. Do you get what I mean? And it's about the want and the desire to actually learn and understand.
Oh, do you feel like you've let us down? If I put it really bluntly, yes, but that's okay. So it's like, yeah, there's a sense of like, oh, okay, cool. We do wish people had spoken up a bit quicker. We do wish people had been more vocal. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that we love you any less, and B, it doesn't mean that you guys are the enemy in this case. But it's like, it's with a standard friendship. Yeah, it's like you guys love each other, but if someone does something wrong, someone does something wrong, and if they disappoint you, they disappoint you
after work. Yeah. So they're gonna pick you up from work. You'd be like, hey, why did you not pick me up after work?
Exactly.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna call them out from that behavior, but you're not gonna abandon them altogether. And I think that's where, especially me, I'm trying to approach it from. I'm not going to abandon you guys because you didn't say anything, but it hurts kind of thing. But it's also, again, having these conversations does educate people. So now it's like, the next time there is a responsibility for you guys to speak up, so that God forbid, but if you don't speak up, then it's like, it looks even worse. Do you get what I mean? So it's like, it's always learning. I don't want the question to be like, have we let you down? It's more like, okay, can we move forward from this, and how can
what can we do?
What can we do the next time, if that makes sense? Because I don't hold my friend's fault every day. It's more just like, okay, you've apologized. I want to see the change now.
I felt like people would look at the church and they were going, like, you're not sharing this because you need to share stuff. And I get why there needs to be Christian voices, but I was almost like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like it's a lose-lose, and I feel like now that they're like, after that post, Maddie, that you put, which was quality, I just saw a spike happen in people sharing about it. And then my thing was, I'm saying, are you sharing about this because of the injustice? Or are you sharing about it because you feel like you need to share about it?
When you say Black Lives Matter, when we say, I want you to talk, it's actually understanding why we've got the pain in the first place. The pain isn't just because of George Floyd. The pain is because of our life being a certain color. It's our daily thing. And it's just embracing that. So if there was someone in the church who felt that pain all the way through, they wouldn't even have thought to post something about it or even to say something about it, because that is their life. They know the struggle. The pressure
it feels weird almost that you felt there was a pressure, because in my heart of hearts, when there's an injustice, the Christian response should always be vocal. Now that's not anything against you, but when Australia was burning down, people were ready to do fundraiser, to do prayer, to stand on the platform. For weeks we were talking about Australia, and that was awful. That was a natural disaster. The people were losing their lives, things were being burnt down. But the thing is, no one felt pressured to do that. They saw what was happening and they wanted to respond. But when something like this has happened, that's a regular occurrence, and that for us as Black people, maybe in the UK experience on a different scale, I think what hurts the most is that we have to wait for a response, and we're like, are they going to say something? Are they not? Do they care? And so the pressure you felt wasn't great because you felt like you had to say something. But the point is, you shouldn't have had to feel any pressure, not you, but anyone. Christians just have to recognise, especially church organisations, not just so any church that is listening to this, when something happens as an injustice in your family, your church body, it is your responsibility to speak. We're not asking you. Scripture asks enough, it says enough. If a family member died in the church, we would know about it, we'd hear about it. We honour lives, we honour people. So when those people are represented in your church, you know, you speak on it. And I think back to what Joanna said, is sometimes with the education thing of it's not our responsibility to educate, it's because of the pain. And I think if a woman miscarried, right, the most inappropriate thing to do would be to ask her about how her pregnancy was. And that's sometimes what it feels like to be Black, is that lives are being lost, experiences are being felt and had, and rather than for you to think, let me see what's the general, you know, experience, because again, the Black experience is different in the UK and America, the best thing for you to do would be to first go to your close friends, perhaps, but if not, just look and see what's available, because there's nothing worse than for you to ask me, oh, you know, what does it feel like to be a Black person right now?
Yeah.
When on my birthday, I'm having to read news that another person has lost their life because of police brutality. So I think it's that type of, I don't want you to feel pressured, but I also don't think the pressure should have ever been there in the first place.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you for your honesty and vulnerability. I think this helped me. Has anyone got anything they want to kind of just conclude it with?
One thing.
Come
Sorry.
on.
Just
Right.
a resource for anyone who's watching, and also for you guys who might want to take it. It's a quiz. It's a free quiz online, and it's a racial implicit bias quiz. And basically, what you do is you answer a series of questions. It's no more than 10 minutes, and by the end of it, it will tell you how racially biased you are. It might be uncomfortable, but it's a start to show you how to unlearn some behaviours.
Right.
When you take it, you've got to be really honest. Like, I've had to take them for other, you know, like in psychology, you do it for different social groups.
Yeah.
You've got to be honest where you're at, otherwise the quiz doesn't work. But it's a place to start.
Awesome.
Only thing I want to add to it really is, even with George or Emily or Sam, with yourself, with a group of white friends, and you know of racism, and they're saying something racist, speak out there. Like, if they hear you say something in the midst of your white friends, that will raise awareness itself. You'd speak out about anything else. So race is no different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, God is love. For God so loved the world, he gave his only son, that whosoever. And we are all whosoevers. Whether you're Black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter who you are. We are all whosoevers. And Jesus died for all of us. He sees our heart, our skin. And that's the main point of this, is that we all love Jesus, and none of this will stop until Jesus comes back. But what we can do in the meantime is support each other through it. And that's all we need.
Amen.
I'll say one last thing and then I'll shut up. I was going to say, this is just in general, because people watching it, I'd say, like, if you're feeling anger about this, that's completely fine. That's completely valid. I don't want people to go around thinking that their emotions are no longer valid because we've had this conversation, or because, you know, God's in control. Like, if you want to be angry about this, be angry, but also don't lose the hope, don't lose the faith. Like, it is very sucky that it's 2020 and this is still happening, but we just have to believe that there will be better times, and kind of we'll be able to bring up our children in better times. And the change does start with us, and don't feel like just because you cannot directly change this, like, little steps do help, little changes do help. The more little changes that build up, it then results in a bigger change when you look at it over time. So yeah, don't give up the hope. If you're really angry or you feel hopeless, talk to someone about it. Don't feel alone in your hope. Speak to someone, speak to everyone, stay connected, and yeah,
Like, comment, and
eat
subscribe.
healthily. Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, people. Thank you, George, for that.